Football Queensland's coverage of the 2019 NPL, NPLW and FQPL season is brought to you by IFCA, Australia's only national football-specific coaching conference, 25th and 26th of May on the Gold Coast. Get your delegate pass today at ifcca.com.au. Play football. Join the team today. Visit playfootball.com.au to find your nearest club. Football Foundation, making football more accessible for every income, every gender, every ability, every background, every Indigenous Queenslander. Donate today.
Well, it's the biggest rivalry in Queensland football. Lions against Brisbane City, the two former NSL Cup champions. And they are going to do battle here in the National Premier League's Queensland, round 6 at Lions Stadium. Both teams having had somewhat indifferent starts to the season. Lions having won 3 of their 4 matches so far, and Brisbane City with a 3-2 record from their 5. But nevertheless, these two sides normally serve up a pretty good spectacle, and alongside me to watch this one is James Coughlin from the Brisbane Football Review. James, this is the game that really people in Brisbane, when they talk about football, think about. They've won 23 Brisbane Grand Finals together between the two of them. They were both NSL clubs back in the 70s and 80s. It does somewhat hark back to those glory days when you think about this, and it's great that it's back in as a general fixture.
Thanks, Simon. I'm really happy to be here tonight. And yeah, as you say, this is why we love football. It's these sort of rivalries between two sides with plenty of history, and hoping we're going to get a fairly vocal crowd around us this evening here at Lions Stadium, and I think they might be up for a good game tonight.
Should be very, very entertaining. Lions, after suffering that opening day defeat to Peninsula Power, have gone on a 3-game unbeaten run. They haven't conceded a goal either. They have, in fact, not conceded in 272 minutes of football. Brisbane City, well, they've done pretty well themselves in terms of not conceding. Every game that they've won, they have kept a clean sheet, so defence is going to be so key today.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, for Brisbane City, they're going up against one of the best strikers in the NPL Queensland competition in Marek Madley, and I think if they can keep him quiet, then that's going to go a long way to Brisbane City getting a win tonight.
Got threats all over the pitch, do Lions, but we'll run through the teams just after we announce the sponsors. Lions would like to thank Motorama and Luxury Paints for helping them get their National Premier League's men's side onto the park. And Brisbane City would also like to thank Luxury Paints as well as Brisbane City North Volvo. We're a little bit delayed actually today because we've just seen Lions absolutely hammer the Brisbane Roar women's team 7-0 in the National Premier League women's competition. It was some match and some goals in that. You'll be able to catch the goals later on Football Queensland social media at FootballQLD for Instagram and Twitter, and footballqueensland.com.au. As the teams come out onto the field, led by our Total Tools official James Crow, and he's going to be assisted by Taliah Schofield and Mohamed Alapur. So just enough time to run you quickly through the teams, and that all-star Lions defence that conceded a goal every 212 minutes last season, including 17 clean sheets, will be led by Luke Berean in goal, Andy Thompson wearing number 2 shirt, Matthias Simic in the captain's armband in number 4, and he will be alongside number 5, Tommy Jarrod, and then on the opposite flank, number 16, Josh Brindle-South. Ahead of them, number 6, Nathan Reardon, number 7, Adam Sawyer Jr. at Brisbane City, number 11, Nathan Shepherd, number 12, Sean Carlos, number 15, Danny Kim, and number 17, the aforementioned Marek Madley. Brisbane City's defence is young, and I think that's the most important point that we have to reiterate today. It's an incredibly young and inexperienced defence, particularly with the suspended Mattia Bonatti watching from the stands. Jake Clancy's in goal. He's just 20. In front of him is 19-year-old Nathan Beagley. Number 3, Thomas Alton, who's 19 years old as well. Number 20-year-old Mark Stewart. He wears the number 4 jersey. And then Tomakuri Sadakuni, he's just 20 as well. He'll be wearing the number 12 jersey, the Japanese man. In front of them, a familiar face to most Lions supporters, Giancarlo Solorzano makes a return to Lions Stadium, where he made 16 appearances and scored 4 goals last season. He scored in his debut for Lions. He scored in his debut for Brisbane City as well in the opening game of the season, that 3-0 win over Redlands. Lining up alongside him will be Adam Edgar, and then behind them, number 10, Kai Fechner, number 13, Jaden Nightingale, number 15, Kai Bolton, number 22, Jesse Rigby. There have been a couple of changes. No Sam Sibatuara for Brisbane City, the normal captain for this season. He has an ankle injury. Alex Sartori, another striker, also out injured. And so they have made a couple of changes. Marcos Waters has been dropped from the bench, and replacing his spot there is Lockie Sayers. Lions also made one change. Joe Duckworth, he's out of the squad. Jeremy Saint was due to start, but he has been scratched late, so we'll have to try and find out what happened with the former Redlands United junior. Looks like it'll be Brisbane City who are getting things started. James, just enough time to give you us your predictions.
I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game. I think Lions are going to win maybe 1 or 2-0.
1 or 2-0 for Lions. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I do think both these sides have got work to do in order to get themselves back into contention this season. I don't think they're quite at full strength yet, but nevertheless, it should be a hugely entertaining match. Regardless, especially with the two sides in such good attacking form. Giancarlo Solorzano has scored 3 goals in 5 games so far, and he just looks fit this season, doesn't he, James?
Absolutely. I almost didn't recognise him coming out on the pitch. It took me a couple of minutes to spot him because he's just looking a lot fitter, and even dating back to his time with the Roar as well. He looks like he's really up for this season as he gets us underway.
Jason Crowe, the man in the middle, giving the instructions, and it's Brisbane City in the blue, kicking from left to right against Lions in their traditional orange. And if you're around in the late 70s and early 80s, this may well have been a national fixture in the old NSL. Both teams did have success on the national stage as well. In the NSL Cup, Brisbane City won it twice in 77 and 78, and Lions in 81, and it's Lions in possession at the moment. Over on that far side is Andy Thompson. He's forced to check by Kai Fechner, effervescent Kai Fechner. He's always lively when he's on the ball, playing wide left today.
And he'd got to be full of confidence as well after scoring a cracker versus Moreton Bay last week, which actually earned him a spot in the Team of the Week as well.
Did very well to get that. Doing not so well was Nathan Beagley. Got caught there, but then a wonderful recovering tackle over on that far side on Andy Thompson. Needed to be alert, did Beagley, who can be over-enthusiastic, it has to be said, in that left-back position, but he does get up and down so well, and you wouldn't want to harness that or grab it too much and relinquish it, dampen that enthusiasm, because he's such a vital player for Brisbane City in attack as well as defence. Here's Josh Brindle-South, just gets a bit of a welcome to the game from Kai Bolton, who has certainly grown since moving to Brisbane City last year from the Roar. He'll learn an awful lot alongside a player wearing number 22, Jesse Rigby. He's a championship winner with Western Pride and made the switch to Brisbane City in the off-season. An early free kick, though, for Lions in a dangerous position. Marek Madley was the player who was fouled, and this is a real test early for Brisbane City. A couple of players coming across, including the makeshift captain for today, Tom Alton, who is under a slight injury crowd as well. He didn't train on Tuesday with the rest of the squad. He's just suffering a bit of a knock from that 2-0 win over Moreton Bay United, but really got Brisbane City's season back on track after 2 successive defeats to Peninsula Power and Gold Coast United. It'll be Thompson who swings this one in. It's a tester, and it's off the top of a crossbar. I think it was Jared who got his head to the ball. It may have been Nathan Reardon.
It looked like Nathan Reardon there with the header, number 6.
It's a good effort for Lions, and Again, it just shows how dangerous they are capable of being from set pieces, and Brisbane City will have to be alert to that. Fechner just kicks his opponent off the ball. Uses his body well, and Danny Kim gets things back underway. Simic towards Madley, asleep at the back with Brisbane City. Beagley again covering across, and despite the slip from Jake Clancy, City are able to gather, and a couple of nervous moments at the back early doors of Brisbane City.
Yeah, absolutely. Madley's been able to get in behind just there, as we saw, and they've got to make sure that we've got a bit of a wind coming from the right-hand side of the pitch as we're looking down on it, and you have to think Lions are going to try and use that to their advantage in the first half, trying to get it in behind that Brisbane City defence, who might not be totally switched on so far.
Had to have a little bit of a makeshift change. That's a good tackle, a strong tackle from Tom Alton. There was a look towards the referee, but it was a good tackle from the captain. Just 19 years old, Tom Alton still, and the former Strikers junior made sure he got all of his man there as well. Sean Carlos, the man hitting the deck. City will attack over on that far side now, but Edgar falls to the ground and then gets a little bit over-enthusiastic in making the tackle.
See, it wouldn't be a derby without these sort of challenges, would it, Simon?
I have to admit, the last 3 National Premier League Queensland men's games that I've seen and commentated on have resulted in 5 red cards being given, so I hope I'm not going to jinx this one. Just seems to be something that's happened this season. I don't recall it happening in previous years, but there is a lot of feeling in these matches at a local level. A lot of players know each other quite well, and familiarity can breed contempt in some situations. The throw-in, goes to Brisbane City, and there's a little bit of consternation on that fact from Sean Carlos, who scored 2 against Brisbane City in the opening round of the 2018 National Premier League's Queensland season at Corporate Travel Management Stadium in a 2-1 victory. Strong tackle there by Nightingale. No free kick. But here's Sawyer. He's going to just let that one run out though, and it'll be Beagley who takes the throw-in. Bright early start from Lions. Brisbane City being forced into their own half, and we haven't been able to see much of their attacking threat so far, but still an awful long way to go in this one. Just 5 minutes gone. The score, Brisbane City still 0 and Lions 0.
What we're seeing so far, last time I was here was for the Football Foundation Cup game when they took on Penn Power, and yeah, Lions got off a really fast start that night as well. They tried to really put Penn Power to the sword, and I think we're seeing a similar approach here as Warren Moon's got his side really up and running early.
Spoke to Mooney about that game and how disappointed he was, but it's actually quite similar to how the FFA Cup game went against Peninsula Power last year. They started bright, took their chances, and Peninsula Power just didn't get the ball falling the right way for them, didn't get the bounce of the ball, whereas in that Football Foundation Cup game, they did, and they came away with the victory as Madley teased the ball off to Carlos. Carlos! Good save, it was straight at Clancy. But Sean Carlos, with the goal at his mercy, should have done better.
Should have put that across the keeper to the far post there, surely.
You'd have had to have thought so, but Brisbane City will be thankful for that. Here is Giancarlo Solorzano having to come and find the ball, and he does so brilliantly. Takes the ball past a couple of markers and goes all the way across field to Beagley. Mark Stewart rekindling his centre-back partnership with Tom Alton. Rigby. Haven't managed to see him play for Brisbane City yet in the flesh. He's a player always admired at Western Pride. Josh Brindle South just latches onto the end of that loose pass from Alton. The Lions can't capitalise, and it'll be a Brisbane City throw on this near side. Yes, Jesse Rigby, such an important player. You forget he's still only 21 years old. He was such a key player in that championship winning season for Western Pride, and it was a real loss for the Ipswich-based side that he left, and he started, or at least was part of something of a bit of a mass exodus from Western Pride. But a little bit of positivity. There's a free kick he's given right on the edge of the penalty area against Tom Alton. He's arguing his case to our Total Source referee Jason Crow, but you very rarely see these overturned, and another very promising position for Lions.
I'm sure one of these days we'll see a player argue his case and the ref go, no, you know what, I'm sure you got a point there.
You'll have to let me know when it does. Not many referees are easily swayed. Of course, with the advent of VAR, you do see referees change their minds on occasion. A really dangerous free kick here for Lions.
And Andrew Thompson, phenomenal delivery early on.
He's going to go for goal this time. It hits the four-man wall. He's going to have another go, and it needed saving. I think it might have just been going the wrong side of the post from a Lions perspective, but Clancy perhaps wasn't to know that and had to make sure it was a good save.
Yeah, in that situation, it's definitely better safe than sorry. And I'm interested to see how Lions attack this corner. For the first one, they lined everyone up at the back post and had a couple of free runners coming near. And looks like they're trying to crowd Jake Clancy here.
Can be susceptible to a bit of pressure, Clancy. It's going to happen again. It's coming towards Clancy. There were two Lions players around him. And Clancy gets up with a little bit of disagreement. And there's a little bit more than disagreement going on. Matthias Simic is calming things down. And will Jason Crowe have a little bit of a word here? I think he might, just bringing the two captains together, Alton and Matthias Simic. Clancy, of course, went off injured in this fixture last year, and it brought on Finn Matheson for what was an incredibly tense and nervous second half after Sam Sibatuara gave City the lead on the stroke of half-time. And it was a lead that City never relinquished. They managed to hold that 1-0 victory and became just the third team to beat Lions in the National Premier League's Queensland last season. And in fact, it was the last time that Lions were beaten in the National Premier League's Queensland until they got to the national final. They did so well, Lions, but Brisbane City, somewhat of a surprise last season in securing that 1-0 win. Kai Fechner on the edge of the area, an enthusiastic challenge from Jaden Nightingale, who was the captain of the under-20s last year. He's prone to getting cautioned and perhaps sent off as well. He does have to curb that natural enthusiasm on occasions, but it's a cheap free kick to give away for Lions in that situation. Brindle South. Sawyer can't quite get hold of it, the former Raw man, but then that was a good little intervention from Sadukini. Brindle South will take the throw from a long way behind the byline to Shepherd. All one-way traffic at the moment. It was a good tackle. Shepherd get quick to his feet though, and that was Kai Bolton coming in and playing the ball off Shepherd. It'll be a throw into Brisbane City. Alton launches it forward. Edgar has been starved of possession so far, but he links up well with Kai Fechner this time. Beagley on the overlap. This is where he's dangerous. Edgar's in the middle. It's not a good cross from Beagley. It's not one of his better ones, but Kai Fechner's tenacious, manages to get there, but takes a lot more than that to rattle Matthias Simic's cage. And he calmly takes possession of the ball with the assistance of Thompson, and it's back in the capable possession of Luke Burrian.
Can't see any lollipops with Luke Burrian tonight, so maybe doesn't need the extra energy. Must
be taking this one seriously. The Brisbane Classico, the former NSL derby, call you what it will. It is the battle between the two most successful sides in Brisbane football over the course of the decades that have passed. As I've already mentioned, 23 titles shared between the two of them. So I think Bolton might have helped that one out, but it's Brindle South who got the last touch, according to our Total Tours assistant. He argues the point, and Kai Bolton just reinforces his point that he got the decision, and that is not going to change. Sadukuni. Wrigley, Sadukuni up towards Solizano. It's fallen for Kai Fechner here. Beagley on the overlap. This is where he's dangerous. Good ball. It's Kai Fechner. Kai Fechner. It's a brilliant save from Luke Burrian. Absolutely sensational. Got down low bravely at the feet of Kai Fechner, who couldn't get the ball out from under his feet. We're still goalless in this one. Lions 0, City 0.
Both keepers have had a bit of a workout early on, but that's the second time we've seen City break down their attacking left-hand side, getting fullbacks forward for the overlap.
And that is exactly the way John Kosmina has set this side up, and they were of course hampered by Reece Raymond's injury in the pre-season in an international friendly match against the China under-20s. He got a nasty injury and had to be taken off, and it was in fact an ACL. So it's good to see him here tonight, walking without the aid of crutches. It's a long road to recovery, and ACL is the worst injury of course for any footballer, and it's good to see him back. But it did hamper the way that John Kosmina wanted to set this side up. And the fact that Beagley is still able to do so on that right hand side, and then the addition of Sadakuni, who has played in the AFC Cup before for Lao Toyota. They lost a two-legged affair to Cambodia's Boyan Ket the last time he was in that competition in 2017. He did win a championship with Lao Toyota in the Lao League. Borean flirts with danger in the form of Adam Edgar. And now this is the sort of battle that we want to see from Jayden Nightingale. He's still going Nightingale. He's very tenacious, a little bit over the line on that occasion though, and you could sense that coming, you have to say it. Took a little bit of experience to give that free kick away, and a little bit of inexperience in conceding the foul. Speaking of experience, here's Madley. He gets in behind the defence again, but good defensive work from that teenage backline for Brisbane City. It's still Lions in possession though. Thompson over on that far side. Kim changes direction. Carlos, he'll go back to Reardon. We had the option to, decided against it. Return ball, and Carlos, that's a fine save from Clancy. Absolutely top draw from Jake Clancy. Got a big right hand down. Absolutely sensational goalkeeping that we've seen so far in this round 6 clash.
And that's Sean Carlos' second clear-cut chance from around that 18 to 20-yard area as well. So I think he's got to be kicking himself at the moment, thinking, how have I not got one?
Lovely interplay between he and Marek Madley. Really, really good shot. And he certainly decided not to fire it straight at Jake Clancy on this occasion. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant save from the 20-year-old. He managed to get down and stick that arm out. It is a corner, though, and Thompson will take it. Clancy wants to hammer this one clear again, a little bit shaky. Kim and Sawyer got a little bit caught there, and then Sawyer concedes the free kick on his former Raw teammate Kai Bolton.
I'm sure there's no friendly words being exchanged there.
It's always good to see a former friend, isn't it?
Absolutely.
No matter the scenario. Brisbane City will take the free kick again after the ball was adjudged to have been moving correctly by Jason Crowe, it has to be said. Here's Sadakuni. He has got wheels. Wasn't able to show them there. Closed down quickly by Shepherd. Solizano in a bit of space now.
It's the overlap again.
Beagley. Lions playing slightly narrow through the midfield. It's a decent looking ball towards Kai Bolton. Luke Breen always had it covered. And he launches it up towards Madley, but good defence. Really, really good defence from Mark Stewart. He really grew into that role in the second half of the National Premier League's Queensland season. Played just 11 games for the senior side. It felt like more. So that's a good looking ball towards Kai Fechner again. Had to be dealt with by Thompson. It's not out for a corner kick. Kai Bolton has possession. Needs support. Or does he? No, he doesn't. Goes past Brindle South like he's not there, to the edge of the area. Shot comes in. It's Bolton, but it's a really good save again from Berean. We're seeing a masterclass from these two keepers in the early stages here at Lions Stadium.
They've clearly shown up ready to play tonight.
Absolutely fantastic football from Brisbane City in their attacking third. We haven't seen much of it so far in this game, but when they have got up there, they've looked really dangerous.
Absolutely.
Solizano having to come and find the ball. He wins a throw-in over on that far side off Sean Carlos. Just some of these saves from Luke Brewer, I'm sure there'll be a highlights package going up across Football Queensland's social media pages and perhaps the website as well, because this has been an exhibition.
We've got a few contenders for save of the round, and we're only a quarter of an hour into the game.
A little bit of confusion there. Simic needed to slide to take that ball away from Kai Bolton, and now there's two City players on this near side, Jayden Nightingale and Tarakuni. Nightingale plays it in towards Bolton. Bolton will go wide. No, he goes back to Nightingale. Nightingale, Solizano will let this one run. Gets the better of Thompson, but Thompson will cover. Beagley's coming to support on the far side of the field. Bigby. Nice from Rigby. Into a bit of space. Can't find the pass, though, towards Edgar. He'll do his best to win it back, though, and does just enough. Nightingale picking the ball up. Again, Sadakuni. Sadakuni chips that one towards Bolton, just too heavy. Simic had it covered, and so did Berean. But more enterprising play from the flanks from Brisbane City.
Certainly, and with that chip in there, I wasn't sure if he was just expecting it to hold up a little bit in the breeze, which just died down as he struck the ball there.
It's typical of the way these things go, it seems to be. Interesting to see how Brisbane City's central midfield have worked together so far. Nightingale going around as the hammer, which is often a role that Jesse Rigby played for Western Pride. He's able to play a more finesse role here for Brisbane City with Nightingale ahead of him. And that'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the course of the match. Reardon goes wide to Thompson, who chooses to go all the way back. Now Simic in possession, the Lions captain. Played well over 100 games now for the men in orange. Real stalwart of the club. Borean playing in his customary sweeper role. Kim drops deep, pushes this one wide to Brindle South. That one's played back inside, couldn't get picked up by Shepherd. Good football from Lions, who've had to deal with this Brisbane City pressure and have done so well. But if not for a couple of good saves at either end, we'd have an opening goal in this one. Here's Kai Fechner.
I think we'd have a few opening goals.
We only need one, of course. Fechner tried to play that one through to Edgar, and Edgar couldn't latch onto it.
Yes, I'm sure any of my journalism lecturers at uni would want to kick me for that line.
That's what they're there for. Here's Simic. Kim often drops deep. Playing something of a quarterback role, the same role that Scott Halliday played for Brisbane City for a couple of seasons. He's not in the light blue anymore of Brisbane City. It's a slight change of tack, more of the playmaking coming from the flanks. So Lozano's going to chase this one, and it's some chase for Jared. Lozano does look fit. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but it's good football from Lions to get out of that. Shepherd.
There's a lot of space available for Shepherd there between the defence and midfield.
Good tackle on Sean Carlos. Kai Fechner gives that ball away, the 18-year-old. Still got plenty to learn. Nightingale can't close that one down. Madley wanted that ball to run. It didn't. Brindle South is going to give it back to him, though. Brindle South takes up the charge on the left. Gets tackled by Alton. And it's out for a throw-in on this near side. It's a bright start from both teams, and an opportune moment perhaps to mention that the IFCCA, Australia's only national football-specific coaching conference, is taking place on the 25th and 26th of May. It's on the Gold Coast. Make sure you get your delegate pass at ifcca.com.au. And a couple of interesting speakers have already been announced, including, of course, football's favourite son, Craig Foster, and the national team coach, Graham Arnold.
A couple of big names coming to the IFCA conference there, and obviously you've got Simon Hill, who's phenomenal football caller, helping moderate the event with Stephanie Brantz, I believe.
A good chat with Simon Hill yesterday about the woes of the Brisbane Roar after their 4-1 defeat against Western Sydney Wanderers, but we'll come back to that. Here's Kai Fechner. He's ambitious going forward. He drops this one off to Solozano. Solozano's going to shoot. It was actually a lot further wide than it looked on first viewing. He didn't quite time it right, but he had a lot of time and space in order to pick his spot. Ended up just got his radar all wrong.
Went for power there to try and beat Borean, and just swung away from the goal in the end.
Borean in possession now. It's a balmy night in the southeast corner of Queensland, but that will not stop Luke Borean from wearing his beanie. It's his lucky beanie. He'll wear it no matter the weather. Good work from Madley to get that ball back to Shepherd. Shepherd wants an option. He may have it in Reardon. Instead he finds Madley. Madley gets crowded out of it though, and Rigby, a little bit too heavy for Kai Bolton, and just a little bit slack at the back from Brisbane City, and that'll allow the home side, Lions, to perhaps have an opportunity here. Here's Kim in a more advanced position. Carlos, back to Kim. Kim in a rare shooting position. Oh, that is stunning! Absolutely brilliant from Danny Kim. He only scored 1 goal last year for Lions. He's kicked off this season with an absolute cracker. Lions lead Brisbane City by 1-0.
We've seen some phenomenal saves from the goalkeepers tonight, but unfortunately not a whole lot Jake Clancy could really do about that one. It was fantastically struck and went across his face from right to left and into the side netting.
Danny Kim, who's had spells with Brisbane Roar and Hume down in Victoria. It's just a wonderful strike.
Not much you could do about that.
As you said, Jake Clancy, he's pulled off a couple of really good saves early doors in this one. But that is an absolute thunderbolt into the far corner of the goal, and you'd have to say that Kim was allowed far too much space to take that shot, but in the same sense that Juan Carlos Solorzano couldn't find the target. Danny Kim did, and didn't he?
And that's the same area we've seen Sean Carlos for Lions have a couple of chances already as well. So it's that area on the top of the goal box. That's where we've seen a few chances so far tonight. So I wonder if there's going to be a few tactical adjustments from the coaches to try and close down the space there.
Have to say, last season when Lions scored first, I didn't concede many. We've already mentioned the 17 clean sheets that Luke Breen kept last year, which, if it's not a league record, it has to be close. And time's gone by, you'd think, well, that might well be game over, but there's so much football to be played, and City have had their chances in this first half, the early stages of it, and there's been a couple of fine saves from Luke Breen, so I wouldn't count on him getting the lollipop out yet.
No, what we've seen so far tonight from City is, yeah, they're definitely creating chances. Only thing, though, they haven't managed to win a game where they've conceded so far this season. So it'll be interesting to see how they, respond from that and whether or not they can keep it at just the one and find a way back in with an equaliser.
We've already mentioned that it's a young side, and young sides sometimes do let themselves get bogged down. As Edgar finds himself in a little bit of space, he'll need support. He has it in Kai Bolton and Solorzano on the left. It was a poor pass in the end from Edgar. He saw Solorzano making his run, just couldn't quite get the execution right, and Kai Bolton was herring down the middle. Had he perhaps stayed wide, the option would have been a little bit better, or at least had he had more support from Sadakuni. But nevertheless, City do have a throw-in on that far side in an attacking position, and it could still cause a threat for the Lions' defence, who will have to be switched on. You're at your most vulnerable after you've just scored, they say.
You'd have to think with the youth in the City side as well, like you'd have to hope they don't get too bogged down thinking, okay, we've got to get this back straight away. You've also got to be making sure that they're not leaving themselves open on the counter-attack as well.
Begley caught offside over on that far side of the field, and a little bit of inexperience shown there because he took the throw and Lions just took 2 steps up the defence, and it was pretty straightforward in the end because the return ball was very, very easily choreographed, and you could read it like a book what City were planning on that situation. Carlos has to check and goes back and then trips City player from that far side. That might be our first yellow card of the game, and it is from our Total Tools referee Jason Crow. And it's just a little chip on Jaden Nightingale, who just has a little bit of a shoulder to Sean Carlos there.
And that's probably just a little bit of an accumulation of fouls as well so far.
I think you're right. There's been a couple of just little, not particularly bad fouls and not particularly dangerous fouls, but just little niggly ones. And it's good refereeing from Jason Crow because you want to stamp that out. You want these two teams to be able to play their football. As Kai Fechner doesn't get the touch necessary to deflect that ball into the path of Begley, who was on his own on the left-hand side, and that'll allow Lions to play this ball upfield to Shepherd. Shepherd was able to run onto it, but it was too close to Clancy, who gathers, and now an opportunity for Sadakuni. Bolton dropping deep. Tom Alton wants an option ahead of him. Rigby is that option, but instead Alton tries to go for the glory pass, and it's right onto the chest of Andy Thompson.
Well, we've seen that crossfield ball out to the overlapping fullback work a couple of times already, so I think that if they keep sticking with that and Lions give them that space, why not keep trying it?
Just the execution letting Brisbane City down on that occasion, but you're right, it is a plan that they have tried to adopt in these early stages of this one, as Mark Stewart is forced back to his goalkeeper by Carlos. Here's Begley. Back to Stewart. High work rate, but he wheels away in disgust, and you can see why. That ball ending up in the grandstand behind the Brisbane City bench, which is fairly still and stoic at the moment. Not much movement that we can see, whereas the Lions substitutes are warming up over on the far side of the field to our right.
John Cosmina's got to be nice and calm so far. Won't get too worked up till the second half.
He's already had a couple of cups of coffee, so should be fine. Here is Danny Kim. Goes back to Jared. Tries to thread that one back through. It'll go all the way for a goal kick. And a good early start to this match. First half of the first half pretty much complete now, and Lions leading Brisbane City by a goal to nil. A really fantastic strike from Danny Kim. But both sides have had their chances, and you'd have to say there's plenty of goals left in this one. And if Brisbane City keep giving the ball away in these dangerous positions, they might be coming from a Lions perspective, but that ball just too far ahead of Marek Madley in the middle, and Clancy gathers and gets it upfield to Carlos Solozano, who gets a couple of Bronx cheers, although that looked like a friendly pat on the stomach from Warren Moon, perhaps wondering where that stomach has gone. He's really looking in good shape, Solozano. We'll mention it on a couple of occasions, I'm sure. 31 years old, Costa Rican.
Might have to go work out in the Brisbane City gym.
It's a good gym they've got there, actually, at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. And Carlos Solozano would have been disappointed with his season last year. He didn't quite meet the level that saw him play a large number of matches in the Hyundai A-League, 61 games for the Roar, including a Premiership Championship double in 2010-11, then 14 games for the Melbourne Victory as well. Just didn't quite reach those lofty standards for Lions last year, but he really has stepped up to the plate for Brisbane City here. So that's a wayward slide. Really nice work from Carlos to Shepherd. Shepherd's going to aim this one towards the far post. It wasn't all that far away. That would have been a magical goal from Lions. As it is, it's a goal kick.
So close, though. It was a nice bit of innovation as well. Seeing the keeper drifting towards his near post as well and trying to catch him flat-footed.
Lovely work from Sean Carlos to play in Shepherd. Nice football from Lions. Advantage is being played. Here is Sawyer. It's a poor ball, but it's picked up by Reardon. Reardon to Kim, the goal scorer. Well, Kim in a little bit of space again. Carlos. That was aimless from Carlos. And Bolton is going to release Adam Edgar, but the angle of the ball was a bit too lateral. Edgar's asking for a shirt tug from Matthias Simic, and Matthias Simic, with all his experience, wouldn't have let himself get caught pulling a shirt in that situation, but that's not to say that he didn't have an armful of that light blue shirt. And Adam Edgar is still making eyes at Talila Schofield on this near side and suggesting that she needs to keep her eyes open. I have to admit, I didn't see anything from our angle, so I can't quite imagine how Talila Schofield was meant to. It's good experience defending from Matthias Simic.
And of course, as you mentioned, it's a quite muggy night here in Brisbane as well, so I'm not sure they want to grab the shirts too much because it's going to be a very hard thing to latch onto.
Speaking of shirts, the numbers on Brisbane City's are difficult to see, let's put it that way, so you'll forgive us with any name errors. Sadakuni comes a little bit centrally and plays the ball out wide to Bolton. Bolton inside to Rigby. Nice football from Rigby. Here's an opportunity for Edgar. Edgar with the outside of the boot towards Kai Fechner. It was very ambitious. Would have been wonderful had it come off. Rigby, the smallest man on the field, wins the header. But it might be unfair on Danny Kim and Nathan Shepherd. Speaking of Shepherd, here he is. Tries to thread that ball through to Madley. And then it's a little bit of friendly fire on this near side for Brisbane City. Tom Alton and Sadakuni. It's a free kick for Brisbane City. And Sadakuni just needs a little bit of attention. He gets it from his captain, but a little bit of communication issues perhaps from the Japanese.
Because I think I saw every male in the grandstand cross his legs with that challenge.
There's certainly some wincing up here in the commentary position up at Lions Stadium as that ball's allowed to run, and Madley's going to cause all sorts of problems here for Tom Alton, but Tom Alton does really well, the youngster, to get there ahead of Madley, who I spoke to before the game actually, and he said he's struggling a little bit with an ankle injury that he suffered in pre-season, and that's why he's only scored 3 goals in 4 games this season. Yeah, well, what do you make of that, really? He's such a talented goal scorer. He managed 23 goals in 14 games for Holland Park Hawks in Football Queensland Premier League as Kai Fechner, has an opportunity down that left-hand side. He leaves it for Beagley. Beagley will cross. It's a poor cross, really, behind everyone, but Solozano's going to pick it up. Here's Kai Bolton. Bolton's going to play it back inside. There's no City runners. Here's Sadakuni. Sadakuni with the shot. And it's deflected away and behind by Reardon. It'll be a throw-in for Brisbane City. Nice football from City there, and Lions were really caught flat-footed at the back.
Yeah, they're really starting to settle back into it now, Brisbane City, showing a lot of confidence in attack as well, and I think all they need is that one cross to stick.
Bolton, it's just got enough of a touch from Simic, and I don't think Simic knew much about it on the slide. Looked like a handball there from Madley, but the free kick goes the other way for a foul by Alton. It's taken very, very quickly, and Madley's going to have a go at this and then has a real go at Rigby. And was there a little bit of a boot to the face there from Madley? It's a yellow card. Was it a yellow card or is it a red card?
Looks...
The angle here didn't help us. Madley's going to come and get some attention.
Can't see anyone walking off the pitch.
No, so Rigby, it's a yellow card. I thought it was a flash of a yellow card, but you'd have to say if the referee thinks that he stamped on Madley's head there, it's not a yellow card. And yet, if he didn't think he stamped on his face and it was accidental, it's not a free kick and it's not a yellow card at all.
I was just about to say, what ankle injury for Madley there. He was chasing that ball down with full vigour and able to get involved in the challenge there as well.
He showed me the strapping before kickoff, so I can confirm that he at least has strapping on his ankle. But you're right, 3 goals in 4 games. He's a real phenomenon at this level. He's, like, as I already mentioned and was saying before, 14 games for Holland Park Hawks in the Football Queensland Premier League. He scored 23 goals in that spell. He moved up to the NPL with Lions and scored 18 in 14. He also scored in the final series against Edgeworth. His longest goal drought in 2018 was 2 games. And he's just a threat every time he walks onto the park. And that's a real talking point here in the first half. There was a coming together, and it looked like the foul was on...
It was given against Madley there.
The foul was on Rigby because Madley came charging into him, and then there was a tangle of feet and body in general, and it did look like there was a little bit of a nick to the face, but whether or not it was a kick out or whether it was accidental, it looked accidental from here, I have to say, if anything. But then it's strange that the referee would choose to give a yellow card to Rigby, who disappeared out of the vicinity pretty quickly, so that often perhaps implies something of a guilty conscience. What big talking point here at Lions Stadium in the first half. Lions lead this one by 1-0.
Well, it wouldn't be a derby without a few flash points and talking points as well come out of all of that.
I'm just glad my red card run hasn't continued so far. Here's Madley, plays that ball in brilliantly. It's through towards Shepherd. I think Carlos got in his way somewhat there. Free kick is given. Madley goes to deck again. He's been getting some rough treatment in this first half.
City defence trying to show, I suppose, they're not afraid of the fearsome striker.
Perhaps testing out that ankle injury as well. Tom Alton was the man who's penalised, and he's pleading his case to our Total Tools referee, Jason Crowe. It'll be interesting to hear what Jason Crowe thought on that situation as Luke Berean comes over and has a bit of a discussion with the assistant on this near side, Talila Schofield. It's a long way out of his goal, but obviously no danger with Lions having the free kick. Perhaps asking for an accumulation of fouls to be given against Brisbane City and for yellow cards to start flowing. We've only had 2 in this game, 1 per side.
As the players in the box are getting acquainted with themselves at the far post, so I wonder if we're going to see another run to the near one.
A lot of work for Jason Crowe here. It's actually Andy Thompson's worst ball of the night at the near post, but it's still helped back in. Still there for Lions. High boot from... Who is that? It looks like Kai Fechner. And a free kick in a very dangerous position, and I dare say Andy Thompson will fancy himself here. Oh, take your pick, actually. And Andy Thompson, Sean Carlos. Thompson's free kick hit the wall last time. Perhaps what was his chance, and Sean Carlos will fancy himself on this occasion. He's certainly having a discussion with the number 2.
Or do we get a set-piece routine here as well with a bit of interplay? Because you've also got Nathan Reardon just standing off to the right there and maybe giving a bit of direction as he stands there.
4-man wall, 5 Lions players on the edge of the box. Sean Carlos has left this for Andy Thompson. He hit the wall last time. That one's over it and over the crossbar as well. Clancy watched it all the way.
Not sure I want to be giving Thompson too many chances to calibrate his radar so far tonight.
He's had a couple of sighters, and you'd have to say he's getting closer. City playing out from the back now with Stewart. Stewart's forced back though by Shepherd to Clancy. Clancy back to Stewart. Shepherd left. Stewart Solazano can't get his flick onto that, so Thompson plays it back inside. Kim, here's Simic. Brisbane City are chasing shadows in their attacking third, and indeed the attacking half at the moment. Simic plays the ball out towards Thompson, who was caught a bit flat-footed and ended up letting that ball run out for a throw-in over on that far side. Nightingale. Oh, this is a dangerous one. It falls for Nightingale though, and here is
4 on 4.
Kai Fechner.
Offside.
Flag did go up, and Adam Edgar is pretty upset with that decision. It looked tight, but you perhaps had a better view of it.
It looked like he just had, maybe a foot or two offside, and yeah.
That's all it takes. Things get underway quickly through Berean towards Madley. Headed straight back up in the air from Sadakuni, who's been quiet since he's coming together with Tom Alton. And then the arm was up from Madley. Free kick is given to Brisbane City.
When you're a big boy like that, I suppose the arm's automatically going to look up. And don't forget to follow Football Queensland on Instagram and Facebook for the latest football news and events across the state. You can find us at FootballQLD.
Get all the up-to-date news. Make sure you check out the Football Queensland website as well, footballqueensland.com.au. Lots of good content on there, including your volunteer of the month. And you get a lot of good information from around the states there, and of course you'll be able to live stream and watch all the National Premier League's Queensland games via the website. Make sure you check it out if you're watching via Facebook at the moment. Here's Madley. Madley is going to try and turn. That's a really good shot. It's a really good save again. Shepherd's having a couple of sighters now, the 27-year-old Scotsman. It's a really good two-handed save from Jake Clancy on that occasion. They're getting very, very close, aren't they, Lions, to doubling their lead?
Yeah, I think Jake Clancy's going to be in for a very, very busy last few minutes of the first half here as well. And just got score update as well from AJ Kelly Park at Kipper Ring. Penn Power managed to pull off a late comeback in the final 15 minutes, 2-1 over Gold Coast Knights.
Top of the table, clash there as the ball's in the back of the net. It's Matthias Simic who gets his head to it. He doesn't score often. He only scored twice last year. So a rare strike for the captain, and Lions have doubled their advantage. Lions 2, Brisbane City 0.
It was that dipping ball as well where they were able to really attack from where they started off their runs, and unfortunately, no one there to clear the ball off the goal line.
They've been a threat from corners and set pieces all evening, have Lions. And Brisbane City have really had no answer to them, despite the tall timber at the back in Alton, Stewart and Beagley. They're showing their lack of experience, perhaps. And someone who doesn't lack experience is Matthias Simic, the Lions captain and real inspirational figure. He scored the second goal. That's doubled the lead alongside Danny Kim's excellent first half strike. And now Brisbane City have a real tough battle on their hands and a tall mountain to climb.
We said this after the first goal, and it still probably applies now. Just make sure that they don't concede another one going into half time as well, because 2-0, it's the most dangerous scoreline in football, as I'm sure we can ask Graham Arnold with that IFCA conference.
Thoughts of James Coughlin from the Brisbane Football Review. Alongside me, Simon Smalley, this National Premier League's Queensland Round 6 clash at Lions Stadium, brought to you live on Football Queensland Facebook page and website. Live streaming every single National Premier League's Queensland game this season, as well as the match of the round from the Football Queensland Premier League and the National Premier League's women's competition. Those matches will be taking place tomorrow. Gold Coast United against Logan from Coplix at 4 o'clock. Aaron Ludden will be there taking you along for the ride down on the glitter strip. And Rafe Griffin will be talking you through Mitchelton against Rochdale at Terralba Park. That one kicks off at 6 from the Football Queensland Premier League. So a super Sunday session for you from Queensland football tomorrow. And if you're interested in the National Premier League's Queensland, you'll be able to catch Olympic heading up the Sunshine Coast to take on the Sunshine Coast Fire. That kicks off at 6 o'clock at Kawana Western Fields as Nightingale is taken to ground. No foul, says the referee, and Sean Carlos will look to pick his spot in passing to Shepherd. Shepherd's dispossessed though, and here comes Mark Stewart, who does play as fullback on occasions. It's not quite a rare experience to see him herring up the wing. Alton and Rigby, and now Alton again. Here's Nightingale. Sadakuni has made a run. City had joy down the flanks early in this first half. That's a deep cross, far too deep, and over the crossbar of Luke Berean, who even looked disappointed himself in that cross, that he wasn't going to be able to deal with it. And he's had to deal with a couple of decent crosses and a couple of decent shots in this first half from Brisbane City. One save in particular, absolutely stunning. Jake Clancy's also been able to pull off a couple of magnificent saves, but he's able to do nothing for Lions, both of Lions' goals. Danny Kim in the 22nd minute with an absolute rocket from the edge of the penalty area, and Matthias Simic with a header from close range from a corner, from which Lions have been so threatening all afternoon. It's former Raw man Adam Sawyer launching forward now. Shepherd skips past one challenge, plays that ball in towards Sawyer again, can't get the ball under control, and Clancy gathers. He'll roll the ball out towards Nathan Beagley. And here's Stewart looking a bit more adventurous in the closing stages of his first half, but his pass is picked off by Kim Madley, and then that was far too close to Jake Clancy. He'll roll the other side this time, an overarm throw towards Sadakuni. Let's see if he's got these wheels that we've heard so much about. Solazano wants it in the middle and doesn't get it, and he's still standing there with his arms out wide.
You take a look at the way Lions are condensing the space ahead of the City attacker when they get that fullback forward as well. It's 5-on-3 there.
Very difficult for Brisbane City to create and find any space. Here's Rigby, all the way along the ground towards Sadakuni. Sadakuni's going to cut inside. He'll have a look with his left foot. Decent ball in towards Adam Edgar, but big, tall figure of Tommy Jarrett's there to help that ball out. Madley tries to hold the ball up, does well, but not well enough to get the ball away from the attentions of Tom Alton, with Sadakuni in support. Now Stewart's going to launch this one towards Edgar. Edgar cushioned that one well, but Kai Fechner didn't anticipate. Rigby Vose there now. Kai Bolton. Solazano with a deep cross towards the back post, and Edgar's waiting, and Edgar can't keep it in. It'll be a goal kick to Lions, and a promising attacking move for Brisbane City breaks down. Yeah,
they're getting into the crossing areas as well, but it just seems like the delivery's kind of tailed off in the last 10 or so minutes. We haven't really been able to see one, try and get even near an attacker making a run into the 6-yard box.
We're in the hands of our Total Tools referee Jason Crowe at the end of this first half. We're in a first half that has gone Lions' way. Both teams have had their chances, but Lions have made the most of theirs. A fantastic strike from Danny Kim. That'll make the highlights reel. The Football Queensland social media channels, I'm sure. And then a fairly regulation header from Matthias Simic, the type of goal that he's scored countless of over the course of his extensive Lions career. Alton manages to get that ball away. There have been a couple of stoppages in this first half, so we may be playing quite a bit of stoppage time. Rigby uses his body, too much of his body on Shepherd, and it'll be a free kick.
City have got to make sure they clear this one away very, very calmly here. Thought Lions might set up for a deep ball into the box there, but playing it short.
Wasted in the end from Lions, and Jason Crowe decides he's seen enough for the first 45 minutes and will go in to the sheds. Lions leading Brisbane City by 2-0. As I was mentioning, Danny Kim with an absolutely spectacular strike in the 22nd minute, and Matthias Simic doubling the advantage in the 41st with an absolutely regulation header, you'd have to say, the type of which City have had trouble dealing with from set pieces. And James Coughlin is alongside me, Simon Smell. It was probably a deserved lead for Lions, but City shouldn't take too much disheartened from that first half. They did have their chances and should be able to make more of them in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen them get into position to create chances. I think now all they need is just one or two good balls into the box, and then try and get the likes of Kai Fechner or Adam Edgar onto the end of it.
Solazano also was lively early, but unable to make the most of the opportunities that he was given, and indeed didn't see much of a ball in the second half. For some reason, Luke Berean's come off this side of the field. The rest of the players have gone off to the sheds. We're going to have a short break ourselves, in which case you'll be treated to a couple of advertisements as well as some highlights packages. Don't go anywhere though. There is plenty left in this Brisbane Classico, and we'll be right back after these messages.
For White, breaks into the penalty area, 1-0 Olympic!
95 minutes in, and Sean Carlos...
Ball right into a dangerous area, and the ball is in the back of the net!
Why do I play football?
Why do we play football? I play for fitness.
For competition.
Community spirit. It's healthy and safe.
And fun.
I play for celebration.
What's your reason? Join our team.
We swear a lot at Total Tools. We swear by our range. We swear by our service. And of course, we swear by our prices. So you'll know that you're buying at the best price every day. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade.
White, breaks into the penalty area, 1-0 Olympic!
95 minutes in, and Sean Carlos...
Ball right into a dangerous area, and the ball is in the back of the net!
Why do I play football?
Why do we play football? I play for fitness.
For competition.
Community spirit. It's healthy and safe.
And fun.
I play for celebration.
What's your reason? Join our team.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Oh, it was a hugely entertaining first half, and we've got a little bit of time before the players come out for the second. James Coughlin is alongside me, Simon Smale, on this National Premier League's Queensland live stream. James, it was half that Lions have probably got a deserved lead from. They've made the majority of the chances, but Brisbane City certainly shouldn't be too disheartened from their performance in that first half.
Absolutely not. Just before we came back on, I was saying, City have to feel like there's still a chance of getting something out of this, even though, 2 down, it's not the ideal position for them at halftime, but they've been able to get in the right spots. All they need to do is just get better crosses in.
Been a couple of disappointing finishes to some otherwise promising moves, both down the left and right. They have been getting a lot of joy down that left-hand side through Nathan Beagley, and then of course the Japanese import Sadakuni has also been playing pretty well down the right, but hasn't quite got into the right gear yet, it seems, and I wonder how much of that was due to the early collision with Tom Alton, which was friendly fire, both players sliding in for the same ball, and there's a bit of a collision in a place where you'd rather not be collided with, and I think it might have knocked his confidence a little bit more than anything, and that has caused a few issues. Of course, a big weekend in the National Premier League Queensland, as it always is. Plenty of games going on, and we'll just run you quickly through some of the scores now. In the early games, Gold Coast United managed to beat the Brisbane Roar Youth by 3-2. It was a 10-man Brisbane Roar Youth. They suffered a red card in that match. Another red card in Cleveland for Redlands United, but it didn't seem to hamper them too much. They were 3-0 down at one point, I think, and they've come back to win 4-3. Something similar happened last year between those two teams, I'm sure, but that's the first defeat of the season for the Magpies Crusaders. a pretty impressive result for Redlands United. What a way to get off the mark in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've been waiting to see what Redlands can do, and, you know, finally nice that they were able to unleash their goal-scoring potential there. And obviously you've got Shuto, who's, you know, we've got Marek Madley here tonight, but Shuto is also one of those strikers that is definitely a must-watch proposition if you're out and about at the local grounds in Queensland.
Western Pride also got their first win of the season out in Toowoomba, the Garden City. 2 goals scored by the home side, but 4 by Western Pride. And Western Pride, I think, have had a rough start to the season. There's no doubt about that. But nevertheless, they've actually managed to get over that hump, and it can be very difficult. Losing is an awful habit to get into, but it's a very difficult one to break.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's a confidence thing as well. Like, we're seeing it with Lions here tonight. They've got so much confidence because they've lost, like 5 times in the NPL competition in the last year and a half or something. So it's really important, you know, for a team to just get that confidence, that first win, and then try and build on it week on week.
A couple of other results to talk about.
Speaking of building confidence, you've got Penn Power continuing their fantastic start to life in the NPL Queensland competition. Went down early to a goal from Sam Smith from Gold Coast Knights, 28th minute there. And Peninsula Power managed to come back with goals from Jamande and an 81st minute penalty from Fox. 2-1 in the end. Gold Coast Knights had a corner at the end where everyone went forward. I'm getting these updates from my Brisbane Football Review colleagues Scott and Adam, who are out there at AJ Kelly Park this evening. And it looked like a fantastic game out there as well. So I think I might have to go back and watch that replay on the Football Queensland YouTube channel.
You'll be able to do that, of course. All the games in the National Premier League Queensland are live streamed, and Peninsula Power are just incredible in the regular season. It's extending that run of matches that they haven't been defeated in. Another side that will probably be thankful not to have been defeated is Brisbane Strikers. They have recorded a 0-0 draw at Perry Park against Moreton Bay United. And then, of course, this game is still underway. There is only one game tomorrow in the National Premier League Queensland. Sunshine Coast welcoming Olympic up to Kawana Western Fields as the Brisbane City players make their way onto the field. John Cosmina would have had a little bit of work to do in order to get his side really to build their confidence back up, because they were able to make a couple of opportunities, and they did force a couple of very, very good saves from Luke Breen in that really rambunctious early first 15 minutes or so in which both sides were having plenty of opportunities. It'll be good to see whether Brisbane City can continue that and make something of this game and perhaps reduce the deficit.
Certainly, and we should probably also say welcome to anyone who tuned into the Mariners versus Wellington Phoenix A-League game tonight, because we've got a much more competitive contest here at Lions Stadium. I think that Wellington's looking to put up a rugby score right now. Yes. 7-0.
7-0 now. The season's going from bad to
7-1, sorry.
Oh.
Just saw that from Carly Adno.
It's a bright spark at the end.
There's still a chance.
Not all over till a fat lady sings. But no, you will have a competitive match here this afternoon, and hopefully 2 competitive matches tomorrow on the live stream. Gold Coast United taking on Logan Lightning in the NPLW competition down at Coplix on the Gold Coast. That's taking place at 4 o'clock. And Rafe Griffin will be on hand to take you through the Football Queensland Premier League clash between Mitchelton and Rochdale Rovers at Terralba Park. 6 o'clock kickoff there, so a double header for you on Sunday sessions from Football Queensland. You'll be able to watch all of those games with the commentary on footballqueensland.com.au. There was one talking point that I wanted to get through before both teams come into this second half, and that was the yellow card for Jesse Rigby. There was a challenge down to our left on Marek Madley. Marek Madley made the challenge and then really continued with the challenge as he fell to the ground. There was a little bit of a scuffle, and our Total Tools referee Jason Crow gave a yellow card to Jesse Rigby, who went down holding his face. To Madley went down holding his face, presumably because of a stray boot or something like that. Now, we've had a couple of discussions off air about this. I don't know what Jason Crow saw. If he saw a boot getting thrown by Jesse Rigby, it has to be a red card. I think we can be in agreement of that. If he thinks it's an accident and just a coming together from what was a very clumsy challenge from Marek Madley, then it's just a coming together that really was Madley's undoing and not a yellow card. The free kick still went Brisbane City's way. It seems like a confusing situation.
It seems like it was one of those things where it was just, let's just diffuse it, get the yellow card and keep play moving as well. Because like we were talking about as well, like if there was any contact on, Jesse Rigby's boot as he was trying to step over Madley or just trying to get his footing as well, you start to shake. I'm sure everyone at home watching this now is just hopping around their lounge room trying to work out what's going on. But just trying to get his thing. And, if there was any contact, I think it would have been more accidental than any sort of maliciousness to it.
I mean, Jesse Rigby is a combative player, but certainly not a dirty player. I think we can certainly see that.
Yeah.
And I don't like saying he's not that type of player, because what does that even mean? I think everybody's capable of kicking someone, let's be honest. But it just didn't seem like that sort of challenge. It was just clumsy from Madley more than anything. And then there was a collision. But the question that I'm making is, why was the yellow card given if that's what Jason Crowe saw? Because Jason Crowe was in an ideal position, probably better than us. He was able to see what was happening at ground level and just gave the yellow card. I will caveat by saying that Marek Madley, he's a wonderful player, but sometimes can be a little bit flamboyant in this situation. It did look like he needed attention and had a fair bit of attention as well. So I'm not doubting that there was contact, but again, that might have perhaps come into the consideration.
It seems like one of those situations where, everyone's got their opinion on it and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. And, there was a couple of, maybe a split second, a breath or two between the reactions there as we just see Luke Borrian running underneath the commentary position to give something to what I'm assuming is his fan club down there on the sideline.
He's a player who's worthy of a fan club. He kept 17 clean sheets last year. If that's not worthy of fandom, I don't know what is, but he's a unique character, Luke Borrian, in the National Premier League's Queensland. A distinctive figure wearing his beanie no matter what the weather, and it is a nice, warm, mild evening this evening here at Richlands. A beautiful day for football, it has to be said. The heat has gone out of the day as the sun's gone down, and Brisbane City and Lions have put on a bit of a show so far today. Lions have eventually come out onto the field and are about to get themselves ready and have their last huddle, saying something that presumably wasn't said in the dressing room over the course of the last 15 minutes, but it seems to be the trend for most teams nowadays. But yeah, Brisbane City do have a mountain to climb, and they're going to have to work pretty hard. They are going with the wind, though, of the wind that it is. It's coming slightly from right to left, but it's not strong. It's not as strong as it has been in the southeast corner of Queensland over the last couple of weeks in matches that we've covered. But it is something that Brisbane City might want to cling on if they're going to be able to try and get something out of this game. No substitutions, it doesn't look like, from either side.
Just trying to listen into the ground announcer and making sure that we're not missing out on anything, but I think all we're finding out is we won't be able to go to the canteen at full time, unfortunately, Simon.
Very disappointing. Lions will get things started in this second half in the orange. Jason Crowe's had enough of waiting and so gets things underway quite abruptly. Ball finds its way all the way back to Luke Borrian, who cuts a very relaxed figure in his goal area. He launches it forward towards Marek Madley, who was at the centre of that controversy towards the end of that first half. But as you mentioned, if it's somewhat in between the two extremes, then perhaps the yellow card was the right decision. It's a really good cross, or attempt of a cross, for Josh Brindle South, but good defending by Jesse Rigby. Oh, that's sloppy from Nightingale. Gives the ball away in a dangerous position, but then Lions can't capitalise. There's a couple of frustrated glances between Nathan Reardon and Marek Madley, because Madley's eyes would have lit up had that ball been played a little bit better into his path.
Probably didn't need to have as much heat on the pass, as they say, and Madley probably a little bit on his heels as well. Not expecting it to come back at him so quickly there.
Speaking of heat on the pass, there's a little bit too much on that one. Nathan Beagley couldn't gather, but Lions are being pegged in a little bit here. But Reardon does well to get past Kai Fechner and plays the ball back inside towards Shepherd. Shepherd finds Reardon. Shepherd again. Good touch though from Kai Bolton. He does well defensively, but ball is given away again. Good work from Shepherd to retain possession. Here's Josh Brindle South, formerly of the Wellington Phoenix, who had such a good win, or winning so comfortably in the Hyundai A-League this afternoon. Here's a good opportunity for Lions. It's onto the edge of the area. Oh, that's a shocker from Jake Clancy. That's not what Brisbane City needed, and Nathan Reardon gets the third goal for Lions. He had such a good first half to Jake Clancy, but it's all gone wrong for the 20-year-old from Mackay. Nathan Reardon with a really soft goal. It has to be said, Lions now lead 3-0, and if it wasn't hard before, it's really, really tough now for Brisbane City.
Yeah, you have to say Jake Clancy there, stuff of nightmares, unfortunately. We've seen a couple of shots go straight at him before and been able to parry them away, but this one, I don't know if there was a bit of spin on the shot or something, but either way, it's one that I think he would love for the footage to be deleted very, very quickly.
And you just see heads dropping amongst the Brisbane City players. That is the worst possible start, just 2 minutes after the half-time break. And all of a sudden, Lions' tails are up, and here is Nathan Reardon again. Madley's in the middle and wants it. It's not going to come to him because it's going to still with Reardon. Reardon gets bundled to the ground. It's in at the back post. I think Madley got the final touch. I'm going to give it to Madley. I think Nathan Reardon wants it himself.
I think Madley poached that.
Hey, that's why you score 42 goals or whatever it was last season in all competitions from Marek Madley. And in 2 goals in 2 minutes, you'd have to say game over, game, set and match for Lions. Brisbane City trailing now by 4-0. And if it was a bad way to concede first up in the second half, that's a terrible way to follow up that goal.
Well, whatever Lions said in that huddle just before kick-off, it clearly worked because they've come out firing here. And what I was actually about to ask right before that goal went in, and I think we've got an answer to this question now, but if you're Lions, what are you going to do from here? Obviously, goal difference is probably going to play a role in this as the season goes on. So do you look to go on with it as well? And maybe, obviously you want to try and get something over your rivals, but do you go on with it now and try and, put up as we just mentioned before, a Wellington Phoenix type of score against the Mariners?
Lions have only scored 7 goals in their 4 matches so far this season. They managed 84 last year in 26 games. Biggest ever win for Lions over Brisbane City was here at Richlands. 6-0 the score back in 2002.
We've seen Lions show the ability to go on with it last season as well, and with so many of the players returning as well, you'd have to think, 5 weeks into the season now, and 5.5. Now, we haven't quite seen Lions really get back into it, but if they can go on with this now, I think it's safe to say the defending double premiers and champions might actually just be back and suddenly becoming a force to be reckoned with as well.
It had been a slow start to the season, but Lions would certainly be laying a marker down here against a young but very impressive Brisbane City side. Here's an opportunity for Shepherd. Shepherd goes past 1, goes past 2. Handball, I think, on the follow-up. It's going to go in anyway, and the goal is going to stand. There was definitely a handball. I'm sure it was accidental from Nathan Shepherd, but on his way through, Lions have scored 3 goals in the blink of an eye, and they lead by 5-0 here now.
Or they're really, really starting to show that ruthlessness that we remember from them last season as well. And Shepherd did a really good job chasing down that rebound as well. You thought maybe he tried to chip Clancy, who, did a fantastic job getting that save there as well. But unfortunately, it's just the way the ball bounced right there to his foot, and then able to finish it past the defenders trying to get back and cover on the line.
Breeze past both defenders, did Nathan Shepherd, and then the ball did pop up and hit him on the arm. You see them given, and there's been a lot of talk about handballs and what is a handball over the last couple of weeks in the world of football, but that was it was not spotted by the officials, and sometimes when your luck's in, and Lions have managed to score 3 goals in 5 minutes to kick off the second half, and if Brisbane City aren't careful, this could turn into a rout.
Well, everyone's got their own interpretation of the handball rules especially, but I actually wonder, under the new rules that have been discussed possibly for next season, would that goal potentially not stand?
I think his arm was out, and so it wouldn't have been the natural silhouette, whatever that might mean.
And he did benefit from the ball-to-hand contact as well, which to me is a phrase we'll have to remember, probably more for NPL 2020, but we'll worry about that as it comes along.
When Football Queensland invest in VAR, you mean. Here's Solizano. Oh, it's gone towards the back post, and I think that Kai Fechner had a lot more time and space than he realised, and he headed it first time, a fairly tame header towards the palms of Luke Borean, and really he had enough time to take that ball down and then lash it home.
Well, that's also where you wonder if City are going to start to, 5-0 down, start to panic and think, okay, well, let's just try and get one here and start pushing, and maybe that's also where you're going to see Lions with that extra maturity from having a slightly more experienced squad, let's be honest, where they say, they've got 4 players up on the forward line now. You've got Sean Carlos, Mardley, you've got Reardon and Shepherd there as well, and now you've got Andy Thompson overlapping on the right flank as well.
Bad signs for Brisbane City there. A couple of players just involved in a little bit of a disagreement on the field. You'd see it on occasions, but when you're 5-0 down, having conceded 3 goals in 5 second-half minutes, you can see the cracks starting to appear in what is a young side. Here's good work from Kai Bolton, linking up well with Solorzano. Plays that ball in towards Adam Edgar. Adam Edgar's going to shoot. Hits the post and bounces away. When your luck's not in, your luck's not in. Here's Solorzano, though, from Edgar's follow-up shot. It's back for Edgar, and then it's played away after the ball never received by Jesse Rigby.
It's just the way the ball bouncing for Lions at the moment as well. We saw that there, just bounced for who was it? Shepherd early on. I got Shepherd and Reardon mixed up there. 2 Nathans.
Ball is swept in again. It's helped away by Danny Kim, headed back in by Rigby. So Lions player on the ground. It's Shepherd, I think.
Yeah, number 11, Shepherd.
Rigby again involved. Near post. And that was Kai Fechner unable to get the better of Luke Berean, who takes the contact and throws the ball out towards Madley. Here is the aforementioned Shepherd, who scored the 5th goal just a few moments ago. The 5th, which was the 3rd of a 3-goal flurry at the start of this second half. Things have calmed down somewhat in the intervening minutes, but Lions aren't done yet, you feel. Looking to inflict a humiliating defeat on their nearest and dearest rivals. Nearest and dearest, perhaps not geographically, but certainly in terms of history and shared history at football in Queensland.
Emotionally, perhaps.
Lots of emotion in football, and there's lots of emotion in this one, and there'll be lots of emotion from Brisbane City supporters if this scoreline gets any heavier. It is Lions leading City by 5-0. Simon Smell and James Coughlin bringing you all the action on the Football Queensland Facebook page and website, footballqueensland.com.au. That's sloppy, really sloppy from Jaden Nightingale. An opportunity now for Madley. Madley plays the ball back inside to Reardon. It was intercepted well by Tom Alton. And Brisbane City will get this ball upfield. Fechner.
I think you might have to consider trying to make a few changes now if you're John Cosmina. You just get a few fresh faces onto the pitch now. Freshen up a little bit. Some guys who haven't been out there, obviously, to see all 5 goals go in.
A couple of attacking options. You'd think Alex Fechner, he scored 9 goals last season, the 20-year-old. He'll be returning from a dislocated shoulder that he suffered against Olympic at the back end of last season. He's on the bench. Daniel Cutler, former Raw Youth and Moreton Bay player, is also on the bench. Jackson Simpkin as well, an under-18s player from last season, reached the grand final, won the premiership with Brisbane City as an under-18. They have got a good setup for youth football. Brisbane City, both of their under-18s and under-20s reaching the National Premier League's Queensland Grand Finals last year. The 20s won, the 18s didn't. That's a really good effort from Kai Bolton. Really good tenacity from Bolton over on that far side. It didn't quite fall for Solorzano, but Kai Bolton certainly hasn't given up, and that'll please John Cosmina.
Yeah, and almost looked like Adam Edgar could have gotten on the end of that as well, because the Lions defender that came out from behind him, there it is, Tommy Jarrett. You know, it looked like he started off from actually behind Edgar and managed to get to the ball first. So you wonder if maybe Edgar didn't assume that Solorzano was going to get there. He could have gotten onto it first, maybe had a crack and given Luke Berean a bit of a workout.
Solorzano and Edgar getting in each other's way again at the edge of that move on the edge of the area. It's resulted in a corner, and I have to say Nathan Reardon's come very close to the corner flag. It's headed up in the air by Carlos. Oh, it's still there for Brisbane City. Player goes down, it's fired in towards goal, but Luke Berean gathers at the second attempt. I think it was Kai Fechner who hit it. And Luke Berean just showing a little bit of experience here and just getting his hand on the ball and assessing his options, and then plays the ball out well towards Sean Carlos. But Carlos goes back to Simic. Simic forward now towards Shepherd. Shepherd's been busy all day and he does really well over on that far side. That's a good recovering tackle from Salakini. It's still there for Lions though, and Shepherd. It's back now to Reardon. Reardon out wide to Shepherd. Shepherd gets closed down quickly by Kai Bolton again. Really good work from Kai Bolton. Edgar had to check his run. Bolton's going to still go himself. Why not?
He's there on the right for him.
Good work from Kai Bolton. Edgar wanted it on the right, but it's gone wide left to Kai Fechner. Fechner's going to cut back inside now. Has support wide from Beagley. Never gets to him. Here's Rigby. Rigby's going to shape to shoot, instead goes wide to Solozano. Solozano wants one more, gets it, but it's an ambitious looking ball towards Sedekuni, and Sedekuni was never going to get there. It's out for a goal kick. A promising attacking move and more good work from young Kai Bolton.
Yeah, you know, Lions are still maintaining that narrow defensive structure, so the flanks are still there if City want to try and attack it, but they've just got to actually just pick better passes there, and the left Sedekuni just a little bit too much to do there, and maybe play a little bit closer to feet rather than pushing for a run.
For a team that only conceded 11 goals last season, perhaps 5 in one game is a little bit too much to ask for Brisbane City in order to get something from this game, but there'll be individual players on the field who will certainly be wanting to mark themselves out as a player who doesn't give up and still able to create opportunities for his side, and so far in this second half Kai Bolton has done exactly that.
Absolutely. Kai Bolton, you know, still pushing, and even then, you know, you just think, let's just try and get one back now if you're Brisbane City.
You never know what could happen. There's a little bit of conjecture over why that decision was given by our referee Jason Crow and against Marek Madley in favour of Tom Alton, but it looked like a fair decision from this angle. A little bit of a coming together. Madley just going over the top of Tom Alton. Ball's down in this left corner as you see it on your screen, and Andy Thompson will take the throw belatedly towards Madley. Madley's under pressure though from Mark Stewart, and Beagley helps it out. A little bit of frustration shown there from Mark Stewart. And then Stewart gets caught. Madley in behind again. Madley using his strength just to brush aside Mark Stewart. Cuts back inside. Stewart does well in order to stay with Marek Madley. It's all the way across the face towards Brindle South. I think he was aiming for Sean Carlos, but that's good defence at the back now. And here's Solozano. It's going to be a run for Nightingale. Nightingale doesn't get there. It's a quick counter-attack for Brisbane City. Snuffed out, though, well by Lions. Here's Kim. Plays the ball forward towards Carlos. Carlos is going to go wide to Madley. Madley has space on this near side. Up against Stewart again. Back inside to Carlos. Carlos goes down under this foul. And it is a foul by Kai Fechner. A little bit of teenage petulance there shown by Kai Fechner, just helping Sean Carlos realise that the ball is in his vicinity.
Just trying to be a helper. He's got some changes coming now.
The changes aren't coming from the light blue of Brisbane City. They are, in fact, the home side and Warren Moon making the changes. It looks like the 5th goal scorer, Nathan Shepherd, is coming off the field. A 27-year-old who benefited from a favourable bounce and perhaps a favourable deflection. And when we see a number, we will let you know who has come on. Looks like Chris Hatfield. And it is Chris Hatfield. We've just got confirmation. Chris Hatfield making the move from Toowoomba.
So we've got about half an hour to do something here as well. And, you know, with this line side, you want to try and...
Hatfield's going to go for goal here. He does go for goal, and it was an interesting strike. Hatfield had 2 goals in the Goal of the Year competition or selection at the end of last season, so he's certainly a player who knows how to find the back of the net in spectacular fashion. And Jos Kosmina has decided he's going to shuffle his pack. It is going to be Solozano who comes off, and he is going to be replaced by young Alex Fechner, who is returning, playing his 2nd game after suffering a dislocation of his shoulder, and he had to have that reconstructed. It was a severe dislocation, and he is good. It's good to see him back for 20-year-old.
Absolutely. And now, you know, Chris Hatfield there just comes on, takes the free kick. How many players can you say have the confidence to just come on and say, yep, my free kick, I'm going to take a shot at goal?
It wasn't a bad shot at goal either, just fizzing over the top of Jake Clancy's goal. Jake Clancy's goal that has been breached 5 times. And you have to say that the flurry of goals at the start of the second half all started after Clancy's frankly horrible error in allowing Nathan Reardon's weak shot to just deflect past him and into the back of the net. It set the tone for the start of this second half, and it was something that Brisbane City just haven't recovered from.
Yeah, they were able to, you know, knock them out with a couple of quick punches after that as well, making it 5 and essentially killing this game off with, you know, a good 40-odd minutes to play. Reardon
is going to go back to Jared. Jared has an option in Thompson wide, but instead goes forward towards Hatfield for substitute. He's going to be pressured out wide by Mark Stewart, and he wins a throw-in.
I actually thought Nathan Shepherd probably came out best of all the Lions players to start the second half, and now we know why. He had about 15 minutes to make an impact, and well, he certainly did, getting that 5th goal.
Alex Fechner hoping that the play restarts quickly, helping Lions in getting this ball. It'll be Nathan Reardon who takes the throw. It was his weak shot that didn't really beat Jake Clancy. Jake Clancy rather beat himself in the 47th minute of the game. That was followed up in quick succession by Marek Madley poking home at the back post from Reardon's initial shot, and I think Reardon was hoping that ball would creep in at the back post before Marek Madley got a touch, but Marek Madley doesn't let chances like that go past him when you're hunting golden boots. He really had a shot at 2 golden boots last season, if not for the very impressive form of Dylan Wenzel-Halls, who scored another spectacular goal last night for the Brisbane Roar in the Hyundai A-League. Tom Alton gets his head onto that one, and it's hammered into the back of Sean Carlos by Jaden Nightingale. Still there for Thompson. Thompson with a deep cross. Simic is waiting. Simic is still there. It's poked towards Cole, and it's a chorus of laughter from the home stand. It's not what you want from your home supporters, but when you're 5-0 up, I guess you can afford to be charitable.
Yeah, it's the things you can get away with when you've got that big of a lead as well.
Nightingale goes down, and I think it was Nightingale running up a blind alley, really, and that's certainly the suggestion that Nathan Reardon's making, and that he couldn't really do much about it, but it looked uncomfortable for Jaden Nightingale, and the 20-year-old from Cairns, he's going to get a little bit of attention here. Zoe Russell hairs onto the field from PhysioWorks, long-time sponsor and supporter of Brisbane City. And that does look uncomfortable. And there is a little bit of concern being shown for Jaden Nightingale, who captained the under-20s last year to their grand final victory over Western Pride at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. And it was an absolute shellacking in the grand final. Brisbane City's under-20s were phenomenal last year. Anyone who managed to see them play saw a group of very young players playing some really exceptional football, and a number of those have made the jump into the senior side from John Cosmina, and that's something that John Cosmina has tried to do at Brisbane City ever since he's come into the team. The entire back line have been through the system at City, and a lot of good work being done by the youth coaches there in Newmarket, but a little bit of discomfort being shown for Nightingale, who came from the north, Far North Queensland Heat set up, Malanda FC as well as a junior for Nightingale. And he's a combative player.
All right, so just while he's getting treated there, and it looks like they're going to make a sub, whether you're just starting out or have been doing it for years, there's a club for you to play football in 2019. With over 2,200 clubs across the country, there is bound to be one just right for you or your child. Girls and boys can start playing for a club from the year they turn 6, so what are you waiting for? Join the team today. Visit playfootball.com.au.
Plenty of clubs up and down the breadth of the country, and doesn't look like Jaden Nightingale's going to be fit to continue, so a blow for John Cosmina's side, who've already got a couple of players, key players out injured. No Sam Sibatuara, we mentioned at the start of the match. No Alex Sartori either. Those are 2 key attacking threats for John Cosmina's side, and that's something that they're really struggling with, you have to say. And Jaden Nightingale's not even going to go to the bench. He's going to go straight off the field and straight down the tunnel to the sheds. So a real blow for the youngster, and we'll see the substitution, and it does look, in fact, like Lockie Sayers is coming on, 19 years old. Had an injury-interrupted season himself, of course. Lockie Sayers last year only managed 7 appearances for the senior side, and he'll be hoping for a bit of a better run this year. There's a lot of competition for places in that Brisbane City midfield. He's a fine player, Lockie Sayers, when he gets his foot on the ball. He was another member of that under-20s side that won the championship. That's Nathan Beagley hammers that ball up towards Kai Fechner, who was eligible for the under-18s last year. And played in the youth teams until after the GPS season. Edgar certainly looked like he used his hands there, but it's not given. Alex Fechner rides a couple of challenges, the older brother of Kai, and then that ball is helped off Bolton, off Edgar, sorry, for a goal kick.
I have some fond memories of playing GPS football, probably not at the level that these guys played at, but it was a lot of fun.
Both coaches involved today, involved in GPS football. John Cosmina with Gregory Terrace and Warren Moon with Nudgy, I think. Maybe Churchy.
I think Churchy.
I've been wrong before. There are a couple of inquisitive comments coming from the Lions bench asking how many more times is Tom Alton going to be allowed to go underneath a player like that? And I imagine
probably not too many.
Yes, it's certainly reaching the end of his limit. And it's good refereeing from Jason Crowe, Total Tools official. He's just had a quick word with Tom Alton and perhaps mentioned to him, hey, you're not going to be able to get away with that for too much longer.
Well, that's what you want to see as well. Just, you know, good communication, trying to keep things moving as well.
Madley does brilliantly. Oh, it's deflected away when the ball was almost destined for the back of the net from Nathan Reardon. We're going to see a substitution now that'll take even more out of this game, you have to say, and it'll be Lions making their second substitution of the day, and we'll just wait to see who it is who is coming off the park.
Looks to be Danny Kim, who's moving back to halfway, so he's not coming off.
I think it might in fact be Adam Sawyer who's making way and making no. We're going to wait until after this corner. That's why no player was forthcoming and moving to the sideline. Swung in. City have struggled from set pieces all year. In fact, in every game they've conceded in, it has been from a set piece, or they have conceded from a set piece. So something that City will need to work on.
You'd have to think John Cosmina's probably made that note and is going to be working on that training during the week.
You would imagine so. That'll be something that pleases the 62-year-old, former NSL legend. Madley made a good run, finds himself in a bit of space. It was aimed towards Madley, and now Matthias Simic is just putting pressure on the City defence. It was Lockie Sayers who tried to clear that, and Simic is still there. It's a throw-in for City. And there's a fair bit of consternation coming from both the stands and the field. We will have that substitution.
You wouldn't know Simic is on the side that's up 5-0 with the way he was closing down off that corner there.
That's just the way Matthias Simic plays. Reardon is coming off. He scored the opening goal in this half that started the rout really with a pretty weak effort that somehow squirmed its way past Jake Clancy. It's a replay that Clancy will not want to see again. It'll be something that Billy Lumley, the goalkeeper coach at Brisbane City, will be working particularly hard on, you'd think, as Hatfield plays the ball into Carlos. It's flected away. City do conspire to pick the ball up on the edge of their own defensive area, and Rigby plays the ball out to Sadakuni. Cooney inside to Sayers. Sayers was taken late, no foul. Kai Fechner wide to Sadakuni, shot finally showing that pace down the right hand side. Sorry, Sayers gets done for pace there from the substitute Keegan Jelicic, who's only 16 years old, incidentally, so a real prospect, former Rochdale junior.
Well, don't I feel old just hearing that?
He's played in most of the games so far for Lions. Came off the bench a couple of occasions. Sadakini tries to find his way through. Does find his way through. And then it's an ambitious, opportunistic effort from Kai Fechner, who slaps his hands together in frustration. It's out for a goal kick, and the ball's just not quite falling for Brisbane City in these challenging positions. A lot of that's got to do with the work rate of the Lions' defence, but at the same time, Lions got a couple of bounces go in their favour at the start of this second half, and you just wonder how things would change had the ball or the shoe been on the other foot.
you got to think also if you Warren Moon now, you're telling your players make sure you don't shut off. You want that clean sheet. You want to.
Speaking of shutting off, here's Jared, who just got caught there and manages to get back and get the ball clear, but only as far as Kai Fechner. Rigby plays it through the legs of Carlos, and then that ball forward by Beagley to Alex Fechner. A bit of discussion going on between the pair, but it was a poor ball from Beagley. I think Alex Fechner has a little bit of has reason to be upset. We're going to see a substitution, the final substitution from John Kosmina as well. It's Kai Bolton, who's drifted out of the game after an impressive opening to the second half, if you can call any of what Brisbane City have done in this second half impressive. Sadakuni not going to get fooled by that from Keegan Jelisic. And then Jelisic fouls the Japanese right back, and we might have that substitution now. We'll wait for some instruction. It looks like it is Adam Edgar who's coming off. Another frustrating night for Adam Edgar. He scored last week but hasn't been able to find the back of the net today. The former Huddersfield man and Newcastle and Central Coast Mariners junior player. He has been replaced by Daniel Cutler.
He's certainly not the first forward to have a tough night against the Lions defence, and I think he won't be the last, unfortunately. Just couldn't quite get as involved as he would have hoped to have.
Lions looking at a fourth successive clean sheet. Brisbane City will be eager to at least interrupt that streak, if nothing else. And it appears that nothing else is on the table so far, as Thompson skips past a rather rash challenge. There was a big call from Sean Carlos, who's not shy in voicing his opinion on the football field, it has to be said. Thompson, meanwhile, just got on with it as Beagley slides in again on Thompson. Thompson choosing discretion and having just a little bit of a chat back at Nathan Beagley, who can be hot-headed, the youngster. It was good, intelligent play from Andy Thompson, just taking the heat out of the situation and having a bit of a laugh at the same time.
Absolutely. Well, when you're up 5-0, you know, you're able to have a bit of fun with the situation there, and of course you probably also do have the last word in most of those situations by just pointing at the scoreboard.
Not a great touch from Alex Fechner. Ball is held back inside towards Hatfield. Hatfield runs into a brick wall that's shaped like Mark Stewart. Stewart gets the ball back from his goalkeeper, and now wide to Beagley, who has a bit of space. He decides not to run into it, instead aim the ball towards Cutler. Alex Fechner cushions his header to his brother Kai. Now a little bit of space for Alex Fechner on the return from injury. Slides the ball in between two Lions defenders, does well, takes a heavy collision. It was a good tackle, I think, by Kim. He got the ball certainly, but it's a heavy challenge on Alex Fechner, and he stayed down from it. Luke Berean looks frustrated at not getting the ball underway quickly. He hasn't shown that much enthusiasm to get the ball back into play fast in this second half so far, so it's strange that he's chosen now to show that frustration particularly, but looks like Alex just took a little bit of a stinger and is able to get back on his feet, and the game will restart. Simic back to Berean.
And obviously, you know, if you're a player coming off a serious injury, you're always going to have that little bit of nerves trying to get back and making sure that, you know, you take that first tackle, that first hit, and knowing that it's going to hold up okay.
Well, we saw with Hayley Rasso in the Matildas game on Wednesday night, taking a heavy collision to the back. Of course, the back, which she fractured 3 vertebrae in just 6 months or so ago. And it took a long time for Hayley Rasso to get off the floor for that one. And you can totally understand. Psychologically, it must be very difficult. That's neat into play from Cutler. Oh, it wasn't Cutler, it was Lockie Sayers. Sayers heads that ball back towards Kai Bolton. And Bolton, it's too weak really, and is picked off by the Lions midfield, and it was the substitute Keegan Jelisic who made that intervention. Lions will build from that left-hand side now. They win a free kick. Kai Bolton a little bit upset with the decision. Lions trying to steal 10 to 15 yards.
You can probably get away with maybe up to about 5, but I think any referee will just say, maybe not there. Especially if you're trying to cross the halfway line as well.
Yeah, it's a fairly clear indication that you've taken the ball a little bit too far, isn't it? Jason Crowe not having any of it, and he'll allow Simic to take the free kick in its rightful position. It's aimed towards Hatfield. Hatfield rides a challenge from Sadakuni. And that ball is helped out Just a quick reminder, you'll be able to check out all the on-demand highlights and replays of the National Premier League's matches on the Football Queensland website, footballqueensland.com.au. You'll get all the news from the National Premier League's Queensland, Football Queensland Premier League and National Premier League's women's competition, including tomorrow's games. Gold Coast United against Logan Lightning in the women's competition from Complex Park. Darren Lutton will be down there from 4 o'clock Queensland time, and then Rafe Griffin will be at Terralba Park, Mitchelton against Rochdale from 6. You'll be able to watch those two live stream games as part of your Sunday session from Football Queensland at footballqueensland.com.au.
You can never have too much football, can you?
I'm yet to find it. My wife may not agree.
Mine too.
Funny that, isn't it? Lions will have a corner. They lead Brisbane City by 5-0. Welcome return to form for Lions. It's helped back in. It was flapped out a little bit by Clancy, who did well under some serious pressure from Marek Madley in the end. Kim jumps for the header with Alex Fechner, and then Sean Carlos really did get everyone around us standing up on their feet. It was well watched and well gathered by Clancy. But Sean Carlos has had a couple of sighters at goal so far. He only has a yellow card to show for his efforts so far this match, though.
He's probably going to be the Lions player pushing the most to get that goal because of the chances he's had early on. He had a couple of fantastic strikes in that first half as well.
Lockie Sayers plays a risky one across the pitch. The defensive third for Brisbane City. Hatfield had a sniff at it but decided it was too far away. That's a decent run from Cutler. He receives the ball from Fechner. Fechner wants it back, but Cutler's going to go himself. Plays that ball straight into Kim. They appealed for a handball. Kim's hands were by his side and behind his back, so I'm not quite sure how it could have been given.
Optimistically?
Sometimes just have to appeal for everything. But it was a good effort and good inventiveness from the substitute Cutler. Beagley swings that cross in towards Fechner. The Alex variety. It's cleared though, and Hatfield is going to do battle with Mark Stewart. Mark Stewart gets some assistance from Beagley. Illegal assistance, as it turns out. Lions will have a free kick, and that'll be a relieving one.
Absolutely. Now Lions can just run off a few more minutes on the clock. I think we've got about 11 minutes and stoppage time still to play. And now what you want to see from Lions is just can they close the game down? We've seen them do it so many times as well, and pick up another clean sheet.
They'll be hoping for the clean sheet. They may not be aware of the record, and this is an incomplete record of the results in this series. It will be interesting enough to note that this, in terms of total head-to-head of the results of the games that we have, City have won 40 matches and Lions 38, with 20 draws over the course of their Football Queensland history. And again, it's an incomplete record, but that's the record that I'm going with. So Lions will reduce the deficit to 1 again, just as they did at the same stage last season. Season opener won by Lions at Corporate Travel Management last year, and then City getting their own back here. But an opportunity now for Lions to perhaps find that final goal. Madley's offside. He was in acres of space, and perhaps half a yard or a yard offside. He was looking across the line. He should have known better than to get caught in that position.
He had that much margin for error. He probably didn't need to, try and push it that much as well. He could have taken a couple of steps back and made sure that he was still able to take the time and set himself up for a really good shot.
Fatigue perhaps creeping in for Madley now. He has worked hard. He's taken a couple of knocks as well. We spoke about that in the first half in particular. Kai Fechner tries to close down Brewing and thinks better of it, and Lions will play the ball away, but here's Kai Bolton. He's been good in this second half as Kai Bolton. Oh, it's an inventive flick towards Kai Fechner, who let it get away from him somewhat and was crowded out by no less than 5 Lions defenders. That's how they keep clean sheets. They defend so well and get so many numbers back behind the ball when they need to.
Even the midfielders getting back into it now. Action's on the ball, but now you've still got 6 Lions players making sure they're marking the 4 City players.
Madley back inside to Hatfield. Hatfield with the first time shot, saved by the foot of Clancy. It's still there for Lions, but it'll be out for a corner kick. That's a really good save from Clancy. He stood tall. Hatfield probably eyes lit up. He was looking for what would have been his first goal in an orange shirt for Lions, but the former Fraser Park man and South West Queensland Thunder striker was unable to find the target. Good save from Clancy, somewhat makes up for some of his mistakes earlier.
Well, it's not like Clancy's, been he's been dreadful tonight. He's had some fantastic saves as well, and let's be honest, when you're facing a forward line like Lions, they're always going to put you under a lot of pressure.
Well, it's very unfair what I said, actually, because Clancy has been spectacular. In the first half in particular was unbelievable, but it was just the mistake of the start of the second half that really started a run of goals, and that has cost Brisbane City. A few players feeling the pace. Tommy Jarrett doing some stretches in the centre circle at the moment, but it's where it's in the Brisbane City penalty area that will turn our attention, as that ball is pretty weakly played in and is helped out at the near post by Lockie Sayers. Lockie Sayers is going to have to charge down and chase back here against Keegan Jelicic. Jelicic drifts that ball towards Madley at the back post. It's a weak effort from Madley. He was actually trying to find Sean Carlos when really Madley just put his laces through it. We might be talking about the 6th goal and equaling a record scoreline.
They're still creating chances as well. Clock's running down.
Kai Bolton doing brilliantly to get through 2 challenges. Advantage being played. Bolton needs to pick a pass. Picks one brilliantly in finding young Cutler. It's deflected away and now hammered clear by Thompson. Still there. That's a nice little touch from Mark Stewart. He's going to continue his run. Barges into Kim, no foul. Cutler can't pick up the ball. Sean Carlos coming back doing his defensive duties. Cutler challenges Thompson. It's out for a throw-in.
I say Sean Carlos, he's been, up and down the pitch tonight. He's getting involved defensively and also trying to create a lot of effort in attack, as it looks like. That's going to be it.
That will be the final intervention from Sean Carlos. He has worked hard. He's done everything except score a goal. You have to say he's going to get a little half hug from Marek Madley, who tried to tee him up just a few moments ago. The substitutes Liam Walpole coming on, the former Strikers junior and Raw under-20s player. Played for the under-20s for Raw last year, scored 3 goals in 21 appearances. Wears the number 13 shirt for Lions. A good shift from Sean Carlos.
Absolutely, and before the game we were talking before we went on air, and I was like, Sean Carlos is one of my favourite players at Lions to watch. Just the work rate he puts in, and it would be nice to see him get a goal tonight, but unfortunately not to be.
The word you used was football crush.
Well, yeah.
James Coughlin alongside me, Simon Small, in the National Premier League's Queensland Round 6 clash between Lions and Brisbane City, and you'd have to say it's Lions who have absolutely dominated here. They have put Brisbane City, a young Brisbane City side, to the sword. They lead by 5-0. We'll run through the goals as time runs out here at Lions Stadium, as Danny Kim helps that ball forward towards Hatfield, a second half substitute for Lions, but the ball is picked up instead by Jesse Rigby, a player you normally associate with the green and white of Western Pride. He's now in the light blue of Brisbane City. Pass comes to nothing though, and Hatfield, who you probably normally associate with South West Queensland Thunder colours from last season, plays in Marek Madley, who you'd only associate with Lions recently. Of course, he was at Holland Park Hawks at the start of last season. Lots of interchanges going on around Football Queensland, and Lions have strengthened their squad as Tom Alton.
I'm actually surprised Madley hasn't gone for a second one tonight as well. Obviously, he's got a golden boot race to worry about.
Walpole picks up possession, squeezes that one through towards Hatfield. Hatfield does well. Mark Stewart's all over him. Gone back towards Liam Walpole. That's the 6th goal, and we are level in terms of the record goal score that I have in the record books. It's been an absolute rout from Lions, principally in this second half. They all go and congratulate Liam Walpole.
6 goals from 6 different goal scorers there from Lions. It's just been a total clinic, and, watch out for the defending champions.
This is the match at which they have announced themselves as being a key player again in this National Premier League's Queensland title race. They didn't lead all the way through last season, did Lions, but they are such a key side in this competition. They won, of course, in their opening season in the National Premier League's Queensland, a welcome return to the top flight of Queensland football after a couple of years in the Flight Centre Brisbane Premier League, which of course they managed to win as well a couple of times. They are the record holders in terms of Premiership and Premiership wins. Brisbane City do just have the edge in terms of grand finals, 12-11, but Lions have won the most Premierships, 14-8. City are second on the ladder in that. So these are the 2 biggest sides in Queensland and in Brisbane football in particular. Both had spells in the National Soccer League. both won the National Soccer League Cup. Brisbane City twice in 1977 and 78. They're still looking for that trophy, by the way. If you do know where it is, do get in touch with Brisbane City. Lions won their trophy in 1971. So both sides who have had national success, and Lions are having the greater of the local success recent years here in Queensland. They lead Brisbane City by a quite impressive 6-0.
And if you're obviously looking for all the action from the last couple, from what is a fairly dramatic night in NPL action around the grounds, you can catch full match replays on the Football Queensland YouTube channel, and obviously the match of the round, as you're seeing tonight from the NPL competition, will be live on Facebook as well, and of course there will be the Sunday session as well. So
Sunday sessions in the National Premier League Queensland involve Sunshine Coast and Olympic up at Kawana Western Field. So Olympic will be looking to continue their recent run of success. They're one of 4 teams that were unbeaten in the National Premier League Queensland. I don't know if that's changed over the course of the last couple of hours. It has, because Magpies Crusaders lost a dramatic game against Redlands out at the Showgrounds by 4-3. They were leading 3-0 and Redlands had a man sent off. So a dramatic night out in Cleveland. Gold Coast United managed to beat the Brisbane Raw Youth as well, who also had a man sent off. It didn't work in their favour, unfortunately, for the Brisbane Raw. A bad weekend all round for the Raw club. They lost that game by 3-2. South West Queensland Thunder got beaten by 4-2 out on the range by Western Pride. They got their first victory of the season, their first points of the season. Strikers and Moreton Bay United shared a goalless draw, and Peninsula Power won the top of the table clash against Gold Coast Knights, coming from a goal down to win a dramatic match at AJ Kelly by 2-1.
Seems like people that were out at AJ Kelly Park got a treat watching that game tonight. So my Brisbane Football Review colleagues, Scott, Adam, I'm sure you guys have had a fantastic night out there.
Free kick is swung in. It's swung at by Rigby, but Kai Bolton still full of energy in the late stages of this one, with the game well and truly gone. Cutler might have strayed offside. He didn't. Had an opportunity to play the ball inside, but ends up on his backside instead, and Lions will look to break down the left-hand side now in front of the grandstand that is relatively well populated for this top clash. And free kick is given for a foul on Jelicic, 16-year-old player. He's played a couple of matches so far this season for Lions. It's a testament to the fact that Warren Moon is willing to try some youth, although when you're 5-0 up, it's a good time to throw him on for what has been his longest appearance of the season.
And it's a good sign for the depth available for Lions as well. Like, you look at the players that they were able to call on tonight. Obviously, Chris Hatfield, who scored the goal as well. Oh, he didn't score the goal. Never mind me, I'm imagining things. He had that good chance soon after coming on. That's right. Should have been a goal.
Brindle South plays the ball out wide to Jelicic. Jelicic checks, then crosses right-footed towards the back post. Fellow substitute Madley on the turn. He gets another opportunity, and it's saved by Clancy, who didn't really need to make an intervention. It was flying wide, but nevertheless, it was a good save. Might have got a deflection on the way through. And Kai Bolton forces Sadukuni to check his run and puts himself and his defence under a fair spot of bother. Clancy helps that one out. And it's a good save on the bench for Lions. I think it's Sean Carlos playing around in the mud in front of the Lions dugout. Off Clancy's free kick, off Clancy's clearing kick. It's Merritt Madley who was chasing him down, and Lions will have a free kick now in a dangerous position on the edge of the penalty after Chris Hatfield make it 7.
Is Andy Thompson going to come up and take this? We mentioned in the first half he's had a couple of siders there, but it looks like he might be staying back on halfway, ceding duties to someone else.
Chris Hatfield, I think. That was.
I think that's the most misplaced pass I've seen from Lions all half.
I think it's the most misplaced pass you'll see from Lions all season. It was a pretty poor effort, but nevertheless, time is off, as they say. So we'll let that one slide as time runs out here. We are in the hands of our Total Tools referee, Jason Crow, but one last chance perhaps for Lions to make it 7, a magnificent 7, you'd have to say. Here is Hatfield for substitute. Oh, it is in. And that completes the rout. It bounced awkwardly in front of Clancy, but it's one he won't want to see again. Just like the third goal of this game, you do get your wish. Hatfield does score a goal from a free kick, and that really has completed what has not been a memorable night for Brisbane City. The orange half of the city will be very, very happy. The blue, not so much.
And just bounced at that worst possible spot there for Clancy as well, just in front of him, and it seemed like he couldn't quite get his arms up to catch it on the bounce there. And yeah, I don't know if it was a commentator's reverse jinx or something to get Hatfield the goal there, but yeah, nice little free kick there, just on the ground at the near post. We've seen a lot of Lions set piece deliveries actually go towards that near post area as well.
The Lions look like they're going to preserve their 4th successive clean sheet.
Last goal actually was the game I was here doing with Rafe, that penalty for Penn Power.
Alex Fechner's trying to change that, and his shot is blocked, and then looks like brother Kai had another one blocked, and it'll be out for a goal kick. And I don't think Luke Breen's going to be in too much hurry to take this. I think that might well be it, in fact, for this one. A chastening night for Brisbane City. Hesitant to say humiliating night, but whenever you get beaten by 7 goals, it's not one to put down in the fond memory drawer. And you'd have to say that for Lions, it was a comprehensive victory. They have managed to prevail here by 7 goals to 0 over Brisbane City. We'll run you quickly through the goal scorers in case you missed it. Danny Kim got things started with a really, really good strike after both goalkeepers saved some excellent shots. Some really top quality goalkeeping. We were talking about how this game might be remembered for the top quality goalkeeping. We'll get to that. Danny Kim opened the scoring in the 22nd minute. That lead. We've already mentioned City against East and Strikers against Lions. Olympic will take on Peninsula Power. We talk about mouth-watering clashes. That one has got everyone salivating up here. There's a Gold Coast derby as well to be thrown into that, and then Western Pride will take on Redlands in what is also a pretty interesting looking game. So there's cracking matches all over the place next weekend in the National Premier League Queensland. You'll be able to watch all of them on the Football Queensland website, footballqueensland.com.au. Just a quick reminder, Sunday sessions tomorrow. Gold Coast United against Logan Lightning in the National Premier League women's competition from 4 o'clock. Mitchelton against Rochdale Rovers from 6 o'clock in the Football Queensland Premier League. Simon Smale has been talking you through this match. A chastening night, as I've already mentioned, for Brisbane City. James Coughlin has been alongside me. James, what are your final thoughts of this match?
It was a statement win from Lions and a night to forget for Brisbane City, but boy, it was a mark of a champion team there for Lions as well, just going on with it and how quickly they put it all together at the start of the second half.
Second half, that 5-minute spell was really key for me, and it all started from that mistake from Jake Clancy. He's headed straight out into the dressing room, and it's a tough night for the youngster. He was in and out of the team last year, the 20-year-old. Stephen King, who would have been on the substitutes bench, he was actually replaced by Cooper Skerry, who's just 16 years old. Brisbane City's goalkeeping stock's a little bit thin at the moment. Stephen King suffered a back injury during the week, so he was a late withdrawal. John Cosmina has been known to chop and change his goalkeepers. It'll be interesting to see as Jake Clancy actually comes back onto the field and the lights go out. Maybe that's a sign, James.
Yeah, I think they're trying to tell us something perhaps. But yeah, for City, it's one, get over it, have a good night's sleep tonight, and then just try and get yourself back up for what should be a very, very big clash next week with East.
It will be. You'll be able to watch that on the Football Queensland website, footballqueensland.com.au. James, it has been a real pleasure to have you alongside me. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you at home watching for joining us in the National Premier League's Queensland competition. There'll be an inquest from Brisbane City. Jake Clancy's out there now having a discussion with his teammates. They'll rally around him. He's a likeable figure, the youngster from Mackay, but nevertheless there is plenty of work to do for the visitors. Simon Smale, it has been a pleasure to bring you this National Premier League Queensland clash. This has been a double take production for footballqueensland.com.au. Certain symmetry, actually, just before we go. The women's team won 7-0 as well in the National Premier League women's competition against Raw. But that's all we've got time for here tonight. You enjoy the rest of your weekend of football, and we'll catch you next time in the Football Queensland National Premier League's Queensland.